So while I am on this cruise pilot apparatus right here, here's the sensor. There's one on the left side and the right side. And maintenance to this is very minimal. The one thing I do recommend is keep it cleaned off, blown out behind this plate right here. Because what can happen, you may have experienced this, where you get that left hand or right hand material height sensor alarm that goes off on CBUS, and you can exit out and it'll come right back. Usually what causes that is the combine's fairly dirty. It's been probably harvesting corn. You got a lot of that powdery dust that's settled down behind this plate right here. And what happens is this will go up and it'll wedge up and it'll hang there. And after it's been hanging there for so long, and it doesn't drop back down, it'll throw that fault. So the best thing to do is you can either take a small pry bar and just kind of pry a little bit away from the sidewall. There's actually right here is a 16 millimeter bolt. You can loosen it up and that'll come away from the sidewall easier and just blow that out. Just keep it blown out. Don't put any lubricant on there. The lubricant is just going to attract more dust. You don't want that in there. But just keep this blown out. Do not try to reset the sensor because if you get that out of whack, it should be at like 0.25 to 4.5 volts is its range. If you get it out of that range, then it will throw a fault from the other side. Which brings me to another new feature on these combines. It came out, I think it was last year is when I first saw it. It may have come out over the winter of 21 or 20, sorry. There is a voltmeter on CBUS now. Under the wrench icon, there is a voltmeter, and you can actually, and it's in millivolts, and you can actually look at these sensors and see if they're in range or not. So if you ever do have to make an adjustment on these threaded rods, I don't recommend doing it, but if you're going to try it, have somebody up in the cab, or you just like running up and down the ladder, have somebody in the cab tell you when you get that within range. So that's a really handy tool, having that voltmeter on the combine on CBUS. So.
Can you look at your volts on your head?
No, you can't. Not yet. Not yet. I'm hoping that's coming quick. Because all the brains for especially the Convio are on the Convio, and it'd be. I know setting auto contour sensors. That's one of the nice things about the head sight, corn heads with head sight. You can actually look at the volts for each one of the auto contour sensors. So, not yet. We're working on it. Okay, back up to the front of the feeder house here. Here is your brake for your header and feeder house. Auto crop flow uses this, so whenever auto crop flow senses the combine about to overload, it will shut the header and feeder house off right now and stop it so it doesn't pack in as it winds down. So I also notice occasionally when I'm riding in the cabs that sometimes the operators really push down on their buttons, either on the joystick or the one on the console. Remember, those buttons are two-stage. The yellow one here, which is when you're down here on the ground, it's the right one, and then the one on the joystick. Just barely tap them. Don't try to listen for it to stop. There's no need to listen for it to stop. If you tap it, either one of them, it's going to shut off. But if you push them all the way in, and I've watched guys in the cab sit there and do that, don't do that. Don't hit it hard, and don't do that either. Just tap it. Or just gently tap the joystick. It's shutting off. What's happening, this is a drum brake, and like any drum brake, it's going to work. It's only got so many engagements on here, and and you want that to work when auto crop flow goes off. So don't wear this out. If you've been running a combine since 19 or have a yellow one that's got the same thing on there, and you're one that knows that you've done that, it probably needs the brake shoe needs replaced in there. So. Just a housekeeping item. Just gently tap on your stop button on the joystick or on the console. Just stage one. Don't push it all the way in and engage that. You'll hear this engage. If you need to hear this to give you the peace of mind that your feeder house is shut off, you've probably worn it out by now. So anyway. Moving on back, reverser. To unlock this front lockdown bolt on the right side, I just put a 24 mil on an extension and I go right through that hole, and I can loosen that jam nut there, and then adjust the two out here to tension the right side of my feeder house. Back here, your rock trap handle. Attached to the rock trap, most of you have probably found it already, is the ejector rod that helps you to clean out the rock trap, so I don't have to crawl underneath here. I just push down on it, open it up, and then I'll just sit and cycle it a few times to push all the debris out of there. That way I'm not laying down underneath there digging it out with a pry bar of some kind, trying to get it cleaned out, and all that junk lands on my lap. I can just stand here and do it here. Now, when your rock trap is open, your rock trap door is open, there's a convenient kickstand right here that will hold the rock trap door open. Just make sure that you close that. We're not hanging it from the spring anymore, so the spring's not going to stretch. When you lower the feeder house down, so if you're going from field to field, and you're going to hook your header up, you just cleaned your rock trap out, or you're just bouncing the rock trap clean as you're going down the road, and you lower your feeder house down and forget about that, you're going to bend all that linkage, every single bit of it. And no matter how good your blacksmith skills are, you will not be able to pound that back into shape. Trust me, I've tried. I've done it. So make sure that you lift this up and close your rock trap after you've got it cleaned. And then you put your handle back down so that you don't bend that. Nothing ruins a demo faster than a rock trap that doesn't close. So you'll also see this apron right underneath here. That is a new feature on these combines that just protects the hydraulic valve block that's underneath there where your accumulators are. If you do want to get into your prep pans, and I recommend that you inspect these prep pans occasionally, especially if you start harvesting in very wet conditions, you do not want your prep pans to look like this. This will cause a lot of issues or cause a lot of frustration when you're cleaning, because basically what you're doing is you're smoothing over that floor, and your steps aren't going to be quite as effective to shake that grain rearward. This one looks like it's harvested high moisture corn. That was its last crop, and it's got a lot of buildup on here. So what's going to happen with a prep pan like this is you're going to get a lot more grain building up here and just kind of cycling over, and it's not shaking it back to the shoe, and the pile is probably going to get pretty high on top of it, and then just surge down on the cleaning system. Once it hits critical mass, it's just going to surge down on the cleaning shoe, especially if you go down and go back uphill. So make sure you can pull these out. These are a lot easier to pull out than what they were on the yellow combines. So the tolerances aren't as tight anymore. So you can actually, the debris that builds up around the edge, the starchy residue isn't going to hold them in there like it does on the yellow ones. If you still have a yellow one, one easy thing to do, if you don't want to grease it, and I had a customer that actually did this and told me about it. He just buzzed the sides of them with a grinder, a cordless grinder. Just knocked the rough edges off the sides. Just took a little bit off of it, just shined it up, and that was all it took for him to slide his in and out of there. So little farmer trick there you could probably do if you still got a yellow one. But the green ones, and I think this one came out of that's actually out of a. It feels like this is out of a yellow combine, not a green one. So, yeah, like this one, I'd buzz the sides with a wheel grinder, but don't let them get like this. It's rare that it does. This one they just probably have never done it, and dirt attracts dirt. And so on this combine, it's probably run dirty like this for multiple seasons. But it's too easy not to pull these out of here, especially for you guys that are doing seed. It's a perfect way to get this combine cleaned out fast is being able to pull these floor panels out the front right below the rock trap. So that door is right up here. It's held in place with 3 16 mil nuts. Just take your impact gun and zip them off, and you can pull all 6 of those out the front of this combine. So, but please don't let them look like this. I've actually seen them a whole lot worse than this, and it makes things very frustrating on the combine. So keep those cleaned off. All it really takes is just blowing them off with an air compressor. So let's go ahead and move back. Oh, one other thing here. If you're new to Lexion, this is one of the convenient features on here. This is the disawning plates, lever-operated cover plates for the pre-concave. You'll know on Lexions you don't have to crawl inside anymore to bolt anything up. You didn't have to do a whole lot on the yellow ones unless you're doing some pretty tough to thresh small grains. But for corn, soybeans, soft red wheat rotation, all the features to help improve threshing is done from the outside, not on the inside. So if I need to close off my pre-concave, I just operate this lever. Right now it's up, which I would probably close or this is the position I'd have it in for all wheat in this area. Really tough green stem beans, but most of the time we can keep that open, especially if we're running, say, the 12 mil or 10 mil key stock grates up front, if you want to. So, but like I said earlier, with the new combines, the 7000 and 8000 with the larger cylinder and the longer concave, we're using round bar for a lot more of those tougher conditions than we were in the past. So a lot less time is spent now reconfiguring that pre-concave. If you do have to change your grates, it's still right through the rock trap. It's still about a 15-minute job as long as you got an impact gun to go into, if you're going into green stems and you want something a little bit more aggressive grate up front, you can do that. So this has got the second set of grates with it. These are the 10 millimeter wire grates up here. The round bars are already in it. So this combine is fully equipped with round bar concaves.